All right, everybody. We have Destin Demarian here from the Great Northeast. He's a phenomenal smallmouth fisherman, but his favorite technique, I realize, is a frog fishing. Which I guess, I guess if you're from up here and you don't get to do it 8 months out of the year, that's probably one of the things you enjoy. So
yeah, I mean,
Destin,
I want a top water bite.
Yeah. Destin, this is my wife, Constance. She might have a question or two to ask you, or anything not related to fishing or related to fishing, but who knows?
Probably not.
All right. So, for those who don't know, Destin fishes the Bassmaster Elite Series as well as the Bassmaster Northern Opens. I'm not sure if you fish any other division of the Opens this year or not.
This year I haven't, but I've fished the Southerns in the past, and when I qualified, it was through the Easterns, which was a mix of the two.
Yes, yeah, I remember back when I started the Opens as well. We were all over. You went down. Yeah, you didn't stay in the Northeast. It was East.
Yes.
So
it was mostly Southern fishing.
Correct.
East, we had one New York tournament, and all the rest were down south.
Yeah, but you're pretty good with smallmouth, being a guide on Lake Erie in your off season. Yeah. So, would you like to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, your fishing experiences, and then we'll get into talking about smallmouth.
Yeah, sure. So obviously my name is Destin Demarian. I just finished my second season on the Elite Series. Got a wonderful family. We got my wife Megan, my little girl Eva, who's a little over a year and a half. That's really what I enjoy coming home to the most. And that's why I fish.
Exactly.
Yeah, for them. So otherwise, I played college football. I went to Gannon University. It's a D2 school in Erie, PA, which is now where we live again. Just bought a home in Erie, so we fishing Lake Erie a lot. Yes, thank you very much. We've got a lot of work to do, as John was just asking about the house. Yeah, we still have a lot of work to do to the house, but we're excited to be 2 miles from the boat ramp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
there's always work to be done on a house, though.
That's what everybody says too.
Yeah, they're not lying.
Yeah, it's not like going through an Airbnb type of thing,
But that's how I travel all season, so I just figured that's how it works in normal life,
right? It is. Well, it depends on the wife situation,
Yes.
And having a little one around, I don't know if there's going to be that much time for her to just let's throw paint a coat on the house. I don't know. If
that's the process we're in right now. Mostly is painting a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Just getting it ready to actually move in, hopefully soon.
Okay.
Because we're just back and forth. I'll stay there for a little bit, help work on projects.
And call to the other side.
Yeah.
And work back and forth.
I want to apologize. I would say in advance what's happening right now. We have a 4-year-old. And
you don't need to apologize to me. I can promise you.
So my wife gets up at pretty much a beck and call this time of night because it's snack time and bedtime. And
yes, I know how that works.
Yes. So
yes,
all right.
You'll probably hear my little one at some point. She's just
that's all right. That's all right. We try to keep it a family show because once in a while my daughter will come in and she'll sit on her lap or whatever, and she'll just wave or say hi, or she'll say I'm too shy. So all right, but you might know this guy. It sounds like you might. Scott Shea.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, he says don't keep him on long. He's got a lot of weeds to cut down.
Yes, I was actually in the process of cutting more down yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw a couple of your pictures, so I just want to say hi to everybody out there. Once again, we have Destin Demarian on, and
yes,
he's gonna be talking to us tonight about fishing for smallmouth in the fall. So I'm not going to do much interrupting with you. I'll let you do whatever you want to do and go from there and talk about some of the baits, maybe.
Sure. Yeah. So as we're heading into the fall, honestly, It is my absolute favorite time of the year to fish. There's a few perks to fall smallmouth fishing. One is way less pressure on the water most of the time. When deer season starts, bow season just starting, just started in Pennsylvania, actually, Southwest PA. But New York, I think it starts this weekend, maybe next weekend. But bow
Yeah, I think it's
season
next.
starting, rifle season, deer hunting. Most people are putting their boats away. This is the time of year where you're not contending with a lot of boats. When that when that temperature starts dropping, those smallmouth just start going crazy. It's like the reverse of the spring, basically, where the spring they're getting fired up and they're feeding up until the spawn. Where here they're feeding up to do nothing for pretty much the winter. So
Right.
they really need to stock up on, build the mass, build the weight in this time of year to get ready for that really lethargic period where they're really not doing anything. Under the ice or in those frigid 32-degree temperature water. So, I mean, it can be one of the most fun times, absolutely, to fish. If you don't fish in the fall for smallmouth, I would totally recommend trying it this year. This is honestly what I look forward to the most when the season ends. It's a little bit more relaxed, sponsor stuff and all that's happening, but I'm out fishing. I'm out smallmouth fishing all through. Like a lot of people go hunting to like decompress from fishing. I go fishing to decompress from fishing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's I'm sorry, it's completely different tournament fishing than just going out and
right.
we'll call it fun fishing, but
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Yeah, fun fishing too. So you
yeah.
call it the same thing. Fun fishing, totally different vibe than tournament fishing, which is much more intense. A lot of preparation. Where fun fishing is, you just show up and fish, go have fun. No matter what happens, you're just
No
out there having
pressure.
fun.
Yeah, if you want to come on in at noon and grab a bite to eat, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go get some hot chocolate when it's 35 degrees out there. Go back out, warm up, go in the car, sit for a little bit, warm back up, and go back out. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what you want to do. That's yeah, you can do that this time of year when it's not.
exactly.
There's really not many tournaments. I mean, in the South, I know they're still running a lot of tournaments, but up north here, as you know, most of the tournaments are kind of winding down. This is
Right.
usually when our championships are for, buddy circuits and federations and all that stuff. So really, for the next few months till the snow flies and, starts freezing up, there's not really much going on. So it's a great time to get out there, get after some big smallmouths, and they definitely are chewing this time of year as it starts cooling down. And right now, it still really hasn't happened per se. At least down this way, the water's still in that 72, 73-degree range. It's been in the 80s here where I live still, which is unseasonably warm. I don't know, like you guys are a little bit more north than me.
Right.
It's probably a little bit cooler, but I know it's been warm up there too.
Right.
Yeah. So do you fish year round up here? I know some, because like over by me, the lakes, there's a couple lakes around me that don't freeze.
That's pretty cool, like some of the deep ones.
Yeah, Seneca, Cuga will freeze halfway, about halfway down the lake, and that's about it. But Seneca Lake, I mean, I fished even Cuca, which is a little closer to you now. That I fished tournaments there up until like the week before Christmas, and it was crazy. I mean, cold year in your winter gear and everything like that.
They're catching them, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, me and my buddy had 19 pounds, and we're like, all right, yeah, dead last.
Oh, it was a tournament in December?
Yeah, out of 34, 35 people, dead last. I think the winning weight was like 32 pounds for 5.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Yeah,
So
and
that's what you can have this time. I mean, this time of year, until you can't fish anymore, or even those places where they don't freeze and you can keep fishing.
yeah,
The fishing is incredible. I mean,
yeah, it is.
the latest I've ever fished on Erie was probably right around Christmas time, but you've got to have one of those, weeks where it just kind of has like warm bounce back for a little bit before it just gets ridiculously cold, and that's what happened. It wasn't great but I mean, not great. Was still like you went out and caught some 4 and 5 pounders.
Right.
They were just much more lethargic than they were, in November per se, because once that water temperature starts dropping, I like the water temp to be that 45 to 50 range is really like key to me. That's when they're most aggressive. They can be kind of hard to find, but when you do find them, they're so heavily grouped up that you can catch 50, 100 fish, out of an area when it's like that. And they're usually not shy about biting. And I'm speaking mostly from my experience on Erie, because that's I either fish Erie or I fish, the Allegheny River some in the fall. I've spent a lot of time there too. Those are two of the places I spend probably the most time. I'd like to go fish Aqua Lake some more because I'm going to be closer there. I haven't really fished that much.
Right.
So that's kind of up in New York there a little ways, but not too far from PA.
No, it's only hour and a half from you?
What's that?
That's only going to be like an hour and a half from you, Chautauqua, if that.
No, probably. I'd say 45 minutes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Not too bad. I'm not far from the New York line now.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, Jeremy Mays from Virginia, and he says that they fish tournaments throughout the winter down there.
Yeah, Virginia's a little bit different situation.
Yeah.
I mean, Erie almost never freezes completely because there's so much wind. But it you're not going to go out there when it's half frozen and there's 10-foot waves.
Right.
There's a point where you just can't, because all the harbors and the boat docks and all that where you can launch are frozen, so you can't really go out. Which I'm surprised Keuka and that it doesn't ice up on the boat ramps.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they do, but if you're a diehard, you'll find ways to get out.
Gotcha. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback from the sound on your end. I don't know. Are you hearing it on mine?
No, I'm not hearing it.
There's a little echo, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
On his.
Okay. How you doing now? How is it now?
About the same.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Kind of like let's see.
Let's see. But Jeremy did have a question for you.
Sure.
If I can find it. Oh no.
He wants to know about the jerk bait.
Yeah.
A jerk bait.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
How's your jerk bait
How's
skills?
your jerk bait skills? I would say decent. I don't know how to answer that one.
Yeah.
I enjoy fishing a jerk bait. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not Hank Cherry, but I enjoy fishing a jerk bait. I've done a lot of jerk bait fishing for smallmouth for sure.
Yeah.
Jerk bait definitely gets good, as the temperatures start dropping too. It's not something I throw a ton on Erie, although you can catch them on it this time, in the fall. Most time I'm throwing it's a loaded question. Yes, I was kind of noticing that. But most of the time, on Erie, I'm not throwing it much in the fall. I'm more throwing crankbait, spinnerbait if I'm shallow. Spy bait, A-rig. But I'm not a really big A-rig guy. I don't know how you feel about it, John.
Well, mixed feelings. I use it once when it first came out to wrap up the Co-Angler of the Year award with my buddy's rod and left-handed reel, which I'm right-handed. So that's about the only time. That's about the only time I use it. What's that?
I said you should be reeling with your left if you're right-handed. That's what I do. I'm right-handed.
Yeah, no, not this kid. I'm left-handed, but I reel with my right hand.
You're left-handed, but you reel with your right hand. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Gotcha. I'm right-handed, and I reel with my left hand.
Okay, so you're backwards too. All right. So, but no, he's like, dude, you need to throw this, and it was on Oneida, and I'm like, all right, and so I looked, I'm like, oh crud. So I took it, and I don't know. It was not a pretty sight to see. He was laughing at me the whole time. But I ended up catching 5 fish in like 8 minutes or something like that. But that's about it. I don't know. It's too big. I mean, I don't mind throwing a 1 ounce jig, 1.25 ounce, 2 ounce jig or whatever, but
Mhm.
not something I have to reel in all the time.
Yeah, when it first came out, I threw it a lot and
Yeah.
made some money with it and did good with it. But man, your shoulder will kill you by the end of the day throwing that A-rig. You earn it when you're throwing that thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I talked to some local guys around here, Casey Smith, and they throw it all the time.
Oh yeah, there's quite a few guys up in New York that are very successful, and they're just almost straight up A-riggers. I mean, that's what they do, and it's very successful. You know, in a lot of the lakes up there, it works. And I mean, it works. You know, where I'm from, it works in Erie for sure. I hardly ever throw it anymore. Did someone say something about an A-rig? I just saw a comment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna say there was one. So ask Dustin how he liked Chickamauga.
Oh man, I love Chickamauga. My last experience at Chickamauga, I did not love. The fall at Chickamauga was not nearly as fun as when I've been there in the spring. I don't know why it's so different there, but yeah, it's not as fun. I enjoyed staying at Ron's cabin, but the fishing was not fun per se.
Oh yeah.
Fishing in the South a lot of times in the fall is just really tough. Up north, I mean, the fishing is insane. Like in the fall, it's so good.
Yeah, I was actually shocked that we didn't have more 20-pound bags in the open.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought we'd have more. There was. I mean, what was it? 39 pounds to cash a check for 2 days. Something like that.
Yeah. I think it was 38 or 39.
Yeah. So okay, go ahead.
There's a lot of questions for you. You're quite popular.
Yeah, wow.
So Tom says, when you say shallow, what is shallow in your mind on fall smallmouth?
To me, really, it's less. Well, so my thought process on shallow is different based on like Great Lakes, like Erie, and like inland lakes, like Oneida. Okay, so like shallow on Erie, less than 20 feet to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you can see down almost 20 feet. So basically, you're fishing shallow at that point where you can see the fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oneida, I'd say shallows 10 feet or less there.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Fishery.
Yeah. Okay, so Jeremy May has another question. This one isn't loaded though.
So serious question. When you're fishing those northern lakes, do you drift with the bow in the wind or stern? Asking for a friend.
I usually point right into the wind. I want the nose pointing into the wind because I want more control of my trolling motor for that. Or I kind of do it to the side. I just kind of have it, perpendicular to which way the wind's coming at me. So if your boat's completely perpendicular to where the wind's hitting it, it's going to slow the drift down too. But a lot of times I want it pointed straight into the wind because I'm usually casting at a target, or I just want more control of my bait by being right in line with it and being able to control the trolling motor.
Okay.
Some people use drift sock too. Drift sock.
I'm sorry?
Some people use a drift sock too. So that's the perpendicular thing. So it's going to go right in the middle and slow your drift down. I don't use it. I like to use a trolling motor, but I mean, there might be a situation or two when I would do the drift sock, but it's kind of getting old school now. Most people are considering it old school. Drift sock or drift paddles. Powerful drift paddles.
Right. What are some of the baits that you prefer in the fall?
I mean, most of it's not that different from like almost the rest of the year, but a couple that really play for me are a blade bait and a jigging spoon.
Okay.
That you're not really going to see as much of the year. Literally, the blade bait bite is probably one of my favorite bites there is. I throw a fish sense Binsky. It's got a ton of vibration to it. It's very consistent when you're pulling it up. Almost all the bites come when you drop it down and you go to pull it up again, it's already got it. So you just go to like jig it again and it's already heavy, So they get it on the fall most of the time. It's just a really fun bite. You throw a bait caster. I usually throw 10 or 12 pound test and just hammer them. It's a great bite. They get on that metal as the water drops. Usually, once it starts getting into the 60s, starts dropping down 60s, 50s, they really got to get on the metal bite, I will say.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced that yourself?
Oh, yes. We used to go out in January on the south end of Seneca and fish anywhere from 45 to 100 feet deep. And all we would do all day was throw silver buddies.
Silver buddies, that's like the original. That is like, even my buddy who owns Fish Sense, he's like a blade bait aficionado. He's probably the premier blade bait guy. He still has a place in his heart for a silver buddy.
Yep. Yeah, I that's the only blade bait I own. Silver. I mean, it's always worked for me, and
don't fix it. If it works for you, keep it rocking.
Yeah, I say the same thing all the time. I'm like, just because I use it, don't mean you can use it or should use it.
Correct.
If you don't have confidence in something until you get it, don't use it in a tournament.
That's 100% true. The days you're fun fishing, those are the days you want to go experiment with those baits and get confidence in it.
Yeah, you did mention old school and new school and stuff like that, with the drift socks and the paddles. Jeremy is from Virginia and he hasn't really fished up north very often. Okay, and I mean I housed with him over at Oneida, and he tried the spot lock in 4 and 5 foot waves. And he says he learned it's not the dry way.
Yeah, it's funny. Me and my buddies all stayed together last weekend. We all fished a tournament in Buffalo, just an old buddy tournament. And one guy was asking, he's like, "Man, I was spot locked and waves were coming over the bow." And he's like, I took it off spot lock. I was like, me and my buddy Andy Full, he's a guy out there. We're like, dude, you just leave it on spot lock and take him over the front. It was only like 2 footers. Yeah, when it's 4 and 5 footers, that's not going to work so well. But like, 1, 2 footers, maybe 3 footers. If you want a spot like a fish spot, you just let them roll over the bow. That's where your bilge pumps for.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do in 4 and 5 footers anyway.
No, you got to drift. Like, there's nothing you can do.
It's funny. I mean, I would actually like to see a couple tournaments up here, in beginning of October, some pro tournaments.
I wish.
That definitely put a bigger spin on it,
I wish they would do I would wish they would do more tournaments of Erie, period. I mean, I know they're a little bit afraid because it's way more treacherous than almost any of the places we go. Just because most of the harbors, when you get out of it, you're out there in the elements. Like, it's not like Thousand Islands where you launch in the river. You're protected in the river.
Right.
Not protected in Erie anywhere.
Yeah. Andy's on watching. Don't know if you can tell.
Andy, man. Yeah, that's exactly the story I was telling you.
Yeah. But it can be. I mean, I had a Toyota Series event there a couple of years ago, and they canceled the last 2 days.
Yep. And that was in the summer, which is generally not when you have like that crazy wind. It's just you never know what you're gonna get on Erie. You really don't.
Yeah. No, we didn't think it was that. Of course, we're from up here and kind of used to it a little more than the people from down south are. You hear about 2 to 4 foot waves, and it's like, okay, that's a typical day up here.
It really is. Yeah, it's just
2 to 4 foot waves down south is not really a common thing. Or there's places you can duck into someplace,
Yeah, because most of the lakes down south are, riverine reservoirs, so they have got a lot of bends, creek arms. There's a lot of places to hide. There's a couple of those lakes down there that can get pretty sketchy. Kentucky Lake, because it's pretty straight.
And Barbecue's the same way.
Yeah, Chickamauga can get pretty rough too down some of those stretches, but yeah, some of those big Tennessee River lakes, especially if the wind's blowing straight against the current, so it stacks the waves.
Yep.
That can get pretty hairy, but yeah, most of the time it's not like that there.
Okay. So when you fishing for the smallmouth this time of year,
Mhm.
do you ever use tubes anymore, or do you pretty much put tubes away?
Once in a blue moon, yeah. I'd say that's more of like a just messing around thing, but
Okay.
almost always now, to me, a Ned rig is pretty much replaced a tube.
Okay.
I think it
Yeah.
serves the same function and it's more versatile than a tube. Um, that's in my arsenal, a Ned rig is pretty much done everything that a tube's done and more. So I rarely do fish a tube anymore. I
Okay.
don't know how you feel about that.
I use the tube more than Ned rig because I'm not very confident with the Ned rig. Only because I haven't really done it that much.
Yep.
But the last tournament on Thousand Islands, my day two, that's all I could caught fish on. We were fishing 9 feet of water and in. So, but and around the rocks, drop shotting or anything like that. I got tired. I got tired of,
Absolutely drop shot.
I got
Absolutely
tired.
drop shot.
Yeah, I got tired of losing all my tungsten.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like now, everybody uses tungsten drop shot weights, and it becomes very, very expensive.
Yeah.
Drop shotting with tungsten, especially at
Yeah.
day ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a co-angler. Normally, I use lead, because I don't really have to feel everything,
Right.
because I don't really have a choice. I mean, I can look at the graph and if there's rocks, I might be able to see them
Mm-hmm.
from the graph, but I don't really need all that in the back. I don't think.
I used to be strictly lead guy
Yep.
because it was cheaper, felt like it did the same thing, and then over the years, as I traveled with other people and fished with other people, I saw like, dang, tungsten really makes a difference
Mm-hmm.
with drop shotting. It definitely upped my drop shot game. Tungsten's obviously denser. It's going to fall through the water column more quickly than a lead weight. It's got more feel, as you were saying about the feel thing. Yeah. I mean, I use the Angler tungsten ones. I like them painted. I'm a big guy. I'm really big on paint.
Okay.
The fish are getting conditioned to that shininess of the weights, or even just like that. Even when it's matted out on a lead weight, it's still just like that silveryness. And sometimes on Panoptics, I've seen them go and eat the weight and not eat the bait. And that's the main reason I think paint is important. And I want paint that doesn't chip, and that's what the Angler tungsten weights I use the combat fields ones, and they don't chip.
Nice. Rob Welsh says, do you fish Ned rig in just cold water or year round?
That is a 100% year round. One of the most versatile baits for smallmouth that I've ever seen. I will fish it from, ice out until it ices up. 100%.
Okay.
I'll adjust maybe how I fish it somewhat, depending on, the seasons and all that. But yeah, I throw it all the year round.
All right. And do you use the Demiki rig?
Yeah, I do. I've done more of the Demiki on southern lakes.
Okay.
I have used like a version of a Demiki up north, but usually something else works better for me up here.
Okay. Kelly, he asked a question. Do you think the bigger size of the flatworm is better, the same, or worse?
Well, Kelly, if you guys didn't know, Kelly and his partner Billy caught an absolute mega bag this weekend. They caught 28 pounds up in Buffalo. So congrats to them. They did an awesome job.
That was huge. Yeah,
it was a great job.
I'm kind of jealous.
Hey, it happens, you know. Sometime once in your life, you'll get that kind of a day. We had one of those last year, so I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully you get it more than one time. But I think if you keep, I mean, if you keep fishing, you're gonna have one of those days where you're gonna have that kind of a mega bag and be like, wow, that was sweet. But flatworms, I've not used the big one a ton yet. I've just started to experiment with it, but smallmouth fishing, most of the time, I think the 3.6 is probably the best. Not because it's always the size they want, but you're gonna hook up and keep them pinned easier because it's less plastic in their mouth.
Okay.
That's my thought process. And there's sometimes that I've used bigger drop shot baits and it's made a difference. But not all the time. And more consistently, that 3.6 I think is the better flatworm. But there is a place for the 4.2.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, I look at it and some of the I have a friend who uses 7-inch ribbon tail sometimes as a drop shot.
I mean, for largemouth or smallmouth?
Smallmouth.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and he whooped me. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? He's like, I'm just throwing a 7-inch ribbon tail. I'm like, dude, really?
They probably don't see it.
Yeah, and it was probably, the tail was probably moving a little bit, and I'm not going to tell you it was on the St. Lawrence that he did that, but
that's crazy. Yeah,
yeah, I would never.
I know that works for largemouth. Like I've heard of people doing that. I've got a buddy that's done pretty well doing that, but I've never heard that for smallmouth. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
There's a second one.
So what are some of the key things that you can think of for fishing fall smallmouth off the top of your head?
The key things,
like
I would say
rocks,
really paying attention. Oh, like cover,
cover structure.
Yeah, I'd say mostly rock. I'd say as it cools down, they're going to gravitate a lot of times. They will get on sand.
Sure do.
They really gravitate to that rock.
Yeah, my daughter's over here. Yeah, she's over here grabbing a cookie.
What's her name?
Xandra.
Do you want to show them your cookie? No.
I've never heard that name before.
Can I show
Yeah, it's one that we Googled. We're trying to find something that wasn't very. Come on over here. Come on.
We spent a lot of time looking up names too. When we
Right? Oh my gosh.
Come on over.
She just told me I had to make more rainbow cookies. I don't know if these
Ooh, that looks good. Those rainbow cookies are awesome.
Sprinkles inside.
Yeah. It's a sugar cookie with different colored.
You're shy.
Oh.
Yeah, she's shy, so.
My daughter is too.
Yeah.
She'll be blabbing around and she comes up to somebody she doesn't know and she's just like.
Yeah. And if you were a kangaroo, she'd be right inside your belly.
Yeah.
Yep.
In that pocket. Yeah.
That's exactly right. But I mean, back on the subject you were talking about, rock is super key. If you're fishing current, which I said I fished out in Allegheny River too, so you're going to look for places where it could be rock, but it could be anything that's breaking that current. As it gets colder, they're getting less active. They want to be more out of the current. Whereas in the summer, they're riding the current, They want to be in that flow because it's just bringing it to them. But when it gets, as it progresses into the colder months, they want to get more out of the flow. Those places they want to winter, places that are going to be so protected they don't have to keep fighting the current. They can just sit there and basically do nothing.
Yeah. Kelly says I better bring current or cookies for the Fed tournament. If he gets me 28 pounds, I'll make sure he gets cookies. I don't care.
I can tell you. I'm sure he's going back to that same spot because we fished it too.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the chances of me getting him as a boater probably like 1 in 49, I think.
Crazier things have happened.
You're right.
Travel with me in some of the opens. He drew me at Oneida second.
Yeah, but we always have a stack of cookies, so
that's awesome. Yeah, they look very good.
Yeah, thank you. I do my best to try to eat as many as I can before I bring them to people.
So, what's your favorite homemade cooking?
My wife is big time into baking and cooking, so she's definitely into the cookies. My favorite, there's this chocolate chip recipe. It's called Mrs. Fields. Mrs. Fields. It's got like blended up oatmeal, chocolate chips. It's really good.
Oh, okay, nice.
So since it has the oatmeal in it, it's healthy.
Yeah, that's breakfast.
That's what I'll tell myself. Yeah.
There you go.
About 10 of them at Christmas.
There you go. So do you have any other tips as far as fishing in the fall?
You know the one, like obviously I said they're really aggressive. They're feeding, but the one I would say is when it gets colder, just really really slowing down because you want to match the fish's metabolism. As the water cools down, the metabolism slowing down. You might not be getting bit, not because you're not around them. A lot of times it could be you're fishing too fast for the water temperature.
Yeah.
So if you feel like there's fish in that area, whether you're throwing a blade bait, throwing a Ned, really slowing down and picking every little thing apart really slowly can really help, make or break a day.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Anthony Alardo asks, do you use hair jigs?
Anthony.
I do, for sure. Let me ask him, or to clarify, are you talking about like a deer hair or are you talking a marabou?
Okay. Yeah. So he's still on. So
Does that make a huge?
yeah.
I'm
do you want
assuming it makes a huge difference.
They have two different ways to fish them, I would say.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
So generally the deer hair, I'm dragging it kind of,
right?
Okay.
whereas the marabou is I do throw a marabou.
Okay.
Marabou is cast and wind. Cast and
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
they're coming up and get it. Some people, I mean, you can still do that with a deer hair, but most of the time when you're fishing a deer hair, you're dragging.
Is it just because of the movement it makes in the water?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, do you use the typical round ball, or you ever switch to a football
With
head?
the marabou?
With either or.
Yeah, so with the deer hair, you can do a football head with that and make it a little easier to get through the rocks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge deer hair guy. I've been messing with it more and more, but I'm more of a marabou. I throw a lot of marabou almost all season until it gets really cold and they start driving deeper. You're not catching them shallow anymore, and I'm not really throwing a marabou because it's mostly a bait,
Okay.
20, I'd say 15 or less most of the time.
Yeah. Remember I told you I got my butt spanked on Kuka one time? The top 5 people were throwing 1/4 ounce hair jigs in 45 feet of water.
Were they deer hair then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like,
It's very subtle and just when it's cold and they're lethargic, it's very subtle.
yeah, I'm like, I don't care if you had a hat, I wouldn't have done it.
That would be hard to do, especially like you're saying, throw what you're confident in. And if that's not something you use a lot, which I don't really throw that much that very often either, it's not something I'm super confident in either.
Yeah, it's something that I think I definitely, that and the Ned rig is something I need to do a lot of work on. But
I would say the Ned rig is way more versatile and way more important than the deer hair. The deer hair is very niche. It's a very niche thing.
I was gonna say I have not used either, so oddly enough,
right.
You do have a question right there, though.
Okay, Trenton, Wacky Rig Tyler.
He's my favorite YouTube star, Wacky Rig Tyler. Yes.
Yeah.
I do know the guy. I feel very fortunate that I know Wacky Rig Tyler. Trenton, him and Tyler, I've taken out on a few trips. They're coming up for a guide trip this fall, so they're going to get a little bit of these tips in person.
Nice. Are you going to use their wacky rig though?
I would say doubtful. Yeah. Doubtful. He is wacky
Yeah.
Rick Tyler, but he's open to doing other techniques.
Yeah, I understand. But it's a catchy name.
It is.
It's
It
close.
is.
Yeah, we
Yes.
came up with it on a guide trip. He's now
Okay.
Rick Tyler.
Nice. All right. Any other questions here for Destin? We're not going to try to keep him too much longer here. Is there anything you have that you want to add? Talk about some of the equipment you use or partners or anything like that. I know we share one.
Yes, I see you're sporting that one.
Yeah. Yep. The new.
Looking
The
fresh.
bucket bass.
Yeah.
I just got my new pair of the sun gloves, the race.
Got mine last week. Yeah.
They look sick. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
You will notice a very recognizable hand model on the tag. That's me.
Yep.
I'm kidding. But yeah, we did a photo shoot in Texas when I was down there.
Oh, nice.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Will said he was down there
I
doing some
should have
stuff
worn
with
my
it.
blue one. We got them.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah,
of
that would have. Yeah, I'm a blue guy. Yeah, you should have worn the blue.
Yeah, see,
You like the
all
blue
blues.
too?
Yeah, yeah.
And see, I do too, but I let her have the blue, and I'll take a different color in case we're together. We don't match, you know.
Yeah.
Don't wanna look like
people, yeah,
twinsies.
they're talking about. They're like, what are they doing? That's so weird.
Look at
Yeah.
those weirdos matching.
Yeah. And besides that, you know, if she has blue and I have the white and maroon, white cream.
Cream.
Okay, the
Is
cream.
that what it is?
Yeah, we'll call it cream because she said so. You know, people can
It
see
is.
different colors.
Or off-white.
So, yeah, a little bit more of a marketing thing than wanting the beer twin. So,
Yeah,
Well, then
yeah.
I'd just make you look bad if we had the same color on.
dude,
so.
when you and I, hey, it doesn't
You have,
matter
to
what.
agree, you have to agree with that because you're the husband. You need to agree.
Destin, it doesn't matter what we look. I always look worse than she does. So,
There you go. That was the right answer.
I
That's
don't know.
always the right answer.
I think you pull off the pink jersey a little bit nicer than I do.
well,
Yes,
you know,
you do pull off the pink. That's impressive.
yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm not a pink person.
And Destin's boat is blue and jerseys are blue and
See?
yeah.
Mhm.
Got a theme going. I like it.
That's right.
All right, so Tom says out of Buffalo
Out of Buffalo Fall, what depth would you target?
You know, it really depends on what phase. Because I was talking about like the best bite to me starts, you know, once it gets into the 60s, but it goes the whole way until lights out. So, I think some fish do get shallow early on there,
Mhm.
and I think they just continually go gradually deeper. There is fish that just stay deep, but there's some fish
Right.
that go push shallow early on, and then they just continually keep pushing out to their wintering areas. You know, so 30, 40, 45, I would say, is where they're going to end up. But are they there early on? It just depends. You know, there is fish that live deep all year, but there's pretty much all year other than when it's spawn. But there's,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of, it's a little bit of a hard question because it is just a different period depending on when in the fall. But that's my best answer, I guess.
Yeah, sorry about that. My daughter's
It's all good. Believe me, not to apologize.
all right. So you might know this Kelly guy who keeps chiming in.
I do.
Yeah.
Kelly.
Can you describe how you fish the blade bait?
Literally, it's nothing crazy. It's mostly just in a jigging motion. I'm just going to show you with my hand. Just ripping it. Let it go back down. Rip it. Make sure it's falling where you're not inhibiting the action falling back down. And it really depends on the aggressiveness of, you know, when the water temp is. If I'm ripping it hard, if I'm making very small hops, big hops, whether I'm throwing a Binsky, which is 99% of the time, or even my buddy Steven, who's the Binsky guy, there is still a time where he likes to silver buddy certain situations, but almost all the time I'm throwing Binsky. But
Okay.
there is times where silver buddy's got a little bit different action, different vibration. There is different blade baits, and I'm not. I mean, I love the Binsky, and that's what I throw 99% of the time. But I'm not gonna shut my mind off to other stuff because, I mean, you just don't want to be closed-minded in that sense.
Correct.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Justin Dahl says, "Do you ever fish the breakwall at Small Boat Harbor?"
I really haven't. No, I'm not a walls guy. I think we're all
No.
like categorized as like that guy. He fishes the head of the river. That guy, he's a wall guy. That guy, he's a whatever reef guy. You know, like that guy, he's
Yeah.
Canadian stuff like that. I'm not really a wall guy. No.
So Kelly wants to know if
good.
oh, sorry. Kelly wants to know if you're watching it on Panoptics then.
Not really as much. It's harder to do that. I have caught some doing it though. Last year when we had the big bag in the fall, I did catch one big one on a blade. I saw him on Panoptics. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Anthony Alardo, do you throw blade bait on a spinning or a bait caster?
Yeah. So this is a preference thing. I'm a bait caster guy. I want to just winch them in with 12-pound line. I just don't want to mess around when I stick them. I've got a lot more cranking power. I'm not having the drag slip, which I want. I don't want that drag to slip. I want to get that fish. I want to get a good hook in them because a lot of times you don't even know you have a bite till you're halfway up your next rip. So you got to be able to really recoil and get a good hook into them because you do lose a lot of fish doing that if you're not using the right setup. Some guys really swear by the spinning rod, and I used to use it. I'm just more comfortable with a bait caster. I want a 7-foot rod. I use a Cashin, a 7-foot, like a medium heavy. And then I'm going to use a high gear ratio bait caster, so I can pick up a lot of that slack. A lot more line is going to be turned on the spool when I turn it on a high gear ratio reel.
Okay. What line do you use?
I use 12-pound Gamma Edge.
Okay, Gamma Edge. Okay.
Yeah. I'm a big Gamma Edge guy. I use it for every fluorocarbon presentation that I do. I use it for leaders. I do braid to fluorocarbon on all of my spinning rods, except my spy bait rod. They do all fluorocarbon on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely a Gamma guy. Super abrasion resistant, and it's tough.
Okay. Russell Phillips asks, blade color. Do you use just a typical silver or do you switch?
I'd say my go-to is a gold or silver for sure. I really like a white. And just to me, it's more of shine versus matte.
Okay.
Whether they want the shininess or they just want something that's not giving all that flash off. So the white is just kind of a stark contrast to that. But I've used, Binsky makes a Goby one. One year they wouldn't touch the other ones and they were smoking a Goby one. So I think it changes year to year, just like colors with the drop shot bait. Sometimes they're on, purple smoke all year, and then the other year they're on green pumpkin or day to day. Like it changes kind of like that. Now, I mean, I experiment with different colors of blades. Some people are into black now, like black blade baits, which I've seen a lot of people doing well with them, which is another contrast thing. And it might just be based on watercolor or just, them being conditioned to the shine or, the white or whatever.
Okay.
I was going to ask but you already pretty much answered it, is when they get more lethargic and when it gets cooler temperatures, do you think they prefer more flash or the more muted ones?
I don't think per se
doesn't matter
as much about the water temperature as much about what they're feeding on, as well as in unison the fishing pressure.
Okay.
Because almost everybody's going to throw a gold or a silver. That's almost everybody's go-to, which is mine too.
Right.
But when they get pressured, sometimes throwing a black, throwing a white, throwing a chartreuse with something else, that can make a difference. Red sometimes is good.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna let you talk for a little minute. minute about some of your partners, and we're going to cut off the questions now because we're getting close to an hour. And I told you we'd run between 30 and an hour, and I don't want to go over that.
You'll just have to join us again.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about some of the baits you use, rods, reels, and
Sure.
stuff like that, go right ahead.
Yeah. As I mentioned before, I mean, with my blade bait setup, that's pretty much my main setup for everything. Not necessarily just a 7-foot medium heavy, but use caching. I use the Icon series. I use the Elites. I use bait cast. I mean, spinning reels. I'm not currently with anybody right now, but Gamma. I use Gamma Edge. I use Gamma Torque braid. Also really good. Good for flipping. I believe it's a hollow. It's like, I think it's a hollow core braid.
Okay.
Really good for flipping. Also, I use it for the spinner reels too, where I use the leaders. Owner hooks for drop shotting. Owner mosquito hook, bar none. Cover shot if you want a straight shank. Best straight shank drop shot hook too. It's really good for other applications too. If you're throwing like a small fluke, something like that. Excellent for that too. I use Angler Tungsten for all my weight, whether it's Texas rig, drop shot, any of that kind of stuff. As I was mentioning, the paint, I really do believe in painted weights. I think it really makes a difference. There's sometimes, where the shine is good, but almost most of the time, most situations, I don't want that. So I really like having the tungsten for the feel and having them painted so they're just very much not the focus of, if your bait's falling, they're not the focus of the fish. The bait is the focus, not the weight.
Okay.
I'm with Buck and Bass. We were just talking about that.
Yep.
Very innovative, best rain suit in the market, 100% waterproof. My buddy was practicing with me at Thousand Islands. We went the one day in practice when we were both soaked, or when it was raining. He was completely soaked through within like 5 minutes. I was bone dry when I took my rain suit off when we got back to the ramp, and he was like, "I hate you."
You're like, I can get you one.
Yeah, I sent Will a picture of him. I was like, "This guy needs a suit."
Hook him up.
Yeah.
He's just like looking miserable. Like, yeah, great company.
Yeah.
Will's top notch, straight shooter, great guy. Guy you want to buy stuff from. He's a great dude.
Yes.
He cares about making a good product that's innovative, that's made from good quality materials, that's actually going to serve a really good function and be waterproof. And all the other stuff, the sun shirts, everything is so tactical, functional. Everything has a purpose on all the apparel and stuff. I look forward to getting that new like mid-layer jacket for this fall.
Oh,
I wore that thing. When I first got to wear it at Knoxville, he was telling me about it. They use some kind of insulation that like NASA uses to insulate, space shuttles and stuff. It literally is like about that thick, and like it instantly warmed me. I was like so blown away by that. It was insane. I can't wait to get that.
But it was still like pretty breathable.
Oh yeah, like I wasn't like sweating, but I was like instantly comfortable. It was like 40 degrees out, miserable at Knoxville. It wasn't the best weather, but yeah, it felt great. I was pretty shocked, but it really does work. Phoenix boats, that 21 PHX that I run is the absolute best boat that you can run, other than a deep haul like walleye boat for the it is bass boat wise. That hull is made for running big water. You don't really lose much in speed too. It's a low 70s boat. I run a SHO on it. My new boat will be in about a month. That can get a new SHO. Power poles. They got Ultrex. I actually run all 3 graphs right now. I ran 2 the year before, and I run all 3 this year, and I think they all have a very good, mix and purpose for certain tactical things. What else? Shred fin apparel. I don't know if you guys see a lot of funny fishing memes on online. Most of them are Redfin, I feel like. I asked the owner how he comes up with it because he comes up with almost all these on his own, and I'm like baffled how he literally has that much funny material in his mind at all times. Like, it's insane.
Oh my gosh, we'll have to check it out.
Yeah, they make great, sun shirts and stuff as well. They're hoodies, a lot of stuff that I wear, in the Elite Series. What else? Centimar Corporation Roofing Company, great company out of Pittsburgh, but it's international, one of the biggest roofing companies. Great work too if you're looking in the market. With Team Realty, my buddy Philip, his company down in Florida. I did live down in Black area. He's we'll sell your house guaranteed or we'll buy it. So that's the kind of confidence he has. So if you're looking for a realtor in Florida or anywhere, he's your guy. And obviously, Edge. I was on a Edge job today. I'm back to the real world. We're working on it. We do baseball fields, softball fields. We have a construction portion of the business, but Edge itself is infield mix. We do infield mix, mound clays, warning track, crushed brick, all that stuff for baseball fields, and most of the major league, minor league, down to parks and rec fields.
Very cool.
Edge. So pretty cool.
Good it is.
We need that around our pool.
Right?
crushed brick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make a warning track around your pool there.
Yeah, I would just as soon get some artificial turf for the whole house.
Yeah, don't ever have to mow it.
That's more fishing time, right?
Right. Yeah, that's what I told my wife. I was like, man, I'd love just to have somebody mow the yard so I can fish more. But
yeah,
I think that might be her way of keeping you home too. So
could be.
Yeah. But, all right. Well, sir, I want to say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate everything you've talked about tonight. Everything you do for the industry of fishing, and as long as I fish with Kelly this week or in October, I'll be in good shape.
Yeah. You want to draw Kelly or Billy because they were partners. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So, all right, sir. Well, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Absolutely.
I hope we both get to see each other, possibly fish with each other on at the Open next year.
Never know who you could draw.
No. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for taking time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right. I appreciate everything.
Thank you, John.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That was Destin Demarian. Pleasure speaking with him. Thanks, everybody, for the feedback and the questions and everything. We're going to close the way we always do. And I just want to say thanks for everybody again. Thank you for my wife for taking care of Xandra while we're doing this. And
she's right now writing my name. So
yeah, it's probably all one letter.
That's good.
An X maybe.
And
so
she's got the O inside the C. The C.
Okay.
It's like C.
So if you're gonna go fishing this week or any other time, try to take a kid, get them involved in the outdoors and the sports instead of behind the computer like we are. Always wear your life vest.
Very good.
And
how about an S?
Just be safe out there. And as Constance says,
wear sunscreen.
Yes, even if it's cloudy out. And eat cookies.
Order and eat cookies.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
Okay. Thank you very much, and have a good night, everybody. Have a good week. And I posted all of our shows that we have coming up on our Facebook page. So take care.